Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Good morning, everyone. It is In the Cup, brought to you by drroto.com. We have taken a couple weeks off, but Adam, we are back. You just got back from Augusta. What an amazing trip that must have been, despite who you played for one and done.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that part, but Augusta National delivers each and every single time. It's a special place for anyone to visit, but especially a golf nut like myself. Had a pretty sweet back-to-back winner in Rory McIlroy, only the fourth to do that. Watched him on the range on Wednesday and thought, and his back doesn't seem to be bothering him much. Somehow, still didn't put him in all of my lineups or play him in one and done. Did play him in some lineups, but it didn't matter because I also had terrible people in it. But no, ready to get back after it. We got a fun week this week. I love this golf course. I love that we're seeing a lot of the top dogs playing this golf course. As we said, we are a forward-thinking show, so despite all the fun things we soaked in last week, both on television or in person, we didn't have the greatest week. Although you finished second, I think, in our...
I finished fourth, but I was like 3 points out of first place. I had a pretty good run. All my guys made the cut. Our boy Rom disappointed, which unfortunately you're not allowed a cell phone in for the practice rounds. Otherwise, you would have told me he didn't look so good.
Well, I had access to a cell phone by the end of the night. I just didn't think to...
That's okay. No worries. We're going to move on. We're going to move up. We're going to move forward. We have the RBC Heritage. We're down in Hilton Head, South Carolina. I was there a couple of years ago watching them set this up, but I was there a week early. That was disappointing. But tell me about this course and how's the weather on the ocean gonna affect this week?
Yeah, so as far as the course goes, it's a little bit shorter than standard, par 71. We got 3 par 5s this week. Tight fairways. You'll see a lot of players clubbing down. So your big drivers, guys like Gotterup that gain a lot of strokes off the tee, typically will not have quite the same advantage as they would on courses like Augusta. So that's one thing to note. More greens in regulation, or I should say more greens are missed. So that's going to necessitate your iron play, because a lot of guys on these, they're very small greens. So you want players who are more precise with their approach shots. You've also got 9 holes that have a pretty significant water danger of hitting the ball in the water. And as far as the par 4s go, we've got more par 4s than most weeks, given the 3 instead of 4 par 5s. So 9 of those 11 par 4s are between 420 and 480, a lot of which are clubbing down because there's dog legs and hazards. So it leads to a lot of guys hitting approach shots from really the same range. So to me, it's going to be even heavier on iron play than most weeks. We want to look at guys because of the smaller greens who can get up and down. It's been like approach play, accuracy off the tee, strokes gained on the greens type players that do well here. And I don't want to think about just accuracy players. You know, JT won this last year, Scotty the year before, although he's very accurate. Matty Fitz the year before that. Jordan Spieth the year before that, his most recent tour win in 2021. And then you had Stuart Sink, my boy, the legend, at 19 deep. So those are the last 5 champions, all between 13 and 19 under. Like I said, it's not going to rule out your guys who are longer. It's not just an accuracy type week, but we definitely want to look at the guys who normally gain a lot of their strokes off the tee. Because if you're doing that through distance, you're not going to have that same advantage this week over the other guys, because everyone's sort of hitting a lot of their tee shots on the par 4s to the same area. So I think it's an interesting week. It's a very cool golf course. It is a Pete Dye course, so some of our Pete Dye specialists like Siwoo will be in play, and it's a no-cut event. So we got 82 players, no cut whatsoever. As far as the weather goes, I was looking at that just a few minutes ago. It's looking like sustained winds somewhere in the 10 to 12 mile an hour range. No significant gusts during any particular time of day. So I'm not really seeing a big wave advantage, AM to PM or PM to AM on the Thursday, Friday setups. So I think we've kind of got the information that we could glean at this point, and I think we should move forward and break down some of the guys we like in different salary ranges.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Looking through the history of this course, looking at the names in this field, I think this is kind of an anti Johnny Danger week. Uh, I like to fade the big names. Oh, a fluff monster appearance. I like to fade the big names, as you know. It has treated me pretty well over the years, but I feel like one of these top guys is just going to run away with it this year. Scotty has been struggling Thursdays, but absolutely kind of dominant going into Sundays. Does he get this win this week and just separate himself from the field? Because I'm kind of leaning that way, and he's under 14,000 finally. Thank goodness. And you can actually build some pretty solid guys in the top sevens to go with him.
Yeah, I was trying to put together a Scotty lineup with him at the top. It is more difficult, but yes, I mean, to answer your question, I do believe he is far and away the favorite, as he is most weeks. But last week when you got Rory in the field, you can make just as good of an argument for him leading into that event as you could Scotty. This week, not the case. You got Xander as your second highest price guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure about the running away part, though. It's a course that makes it tough to separate. You've usually got a very tight finish down the stretch. You've seen a number of playoffs over the years. It's a course that's more difficult to separate from the field than it is at most because of what we were talking about. There's less ways to separate. Off the tee, you really don't have the advantage if you hit it long and straight. Everyone is kind of forced to lay up. There's really no strategic benefit to trying to bomb it out there 320, 330. So I think Scotty's going to sort of plot his way around the first few rounds, be there to strike on Sunday, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he was right there for the victory after kind of catching fire last week with a bogey-free 11 under weekend at Augusta.
Yeah. I mean, he's the only guy in the field averaging over 100 points a week. So, I mean, even though he hasn't been necessarily winning and dominating this year, he's been like a top 10 finish every time he's out there. And that's doing well. So who is it if it's not Scotty? Because if you take Scotty out, you can make, kind of unlimited combinations this week.
Well, I would want to look at ownership, certainly. I think you can make a very good case for Xander right now. He's not quite in the same form as he was a couple of years ago. But given that what I'm seeing, you're going to have a lot of people on Tommy. You're going to have a lot of people on Matty Fitz, who won here a couple of years ago. Those guys are looking like heavily owned plays. And you've also got, just below that, we'll start diving into the 9K, but you got Cam Young, who finished T3 last week, was in the final group on Sunday. You got Russ Henley, who also finished T3 right there at 96. He's got good course history here. I think a lot of people are going to be on those four guys right beneath Xander. So from a leverage standpoint in tournaments, I would love to see Xander 10% or less and jump all over that because I think he is the second best player in this field. Tommy's certainly got an argument, but I think he's the second best player here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up beating out the rest of those guys we just mentioned.
So I'm going to walk over here and take us up to looking at the stats over at Paydirt DFS just for fun here. And I just sorted this by kind of their optimal lineup maker and the guys that should show up in the top ends of your optimal lineups. And this is saying Cam Young, number one. Can you argue that?
I mean, I can't make a strong argument against it if you're factoring in price as well. Mm-hmm. He's truly been a top 5 player in the world over the last, maybe not a year, but like 8-9 months. A lot of it goes back to a golf ball switch. Titleist manufactured a ball specifically for him that spins less, especially with the wedges and short irons. And since that switch, he's truly been one of the elites in the game, including winning the Players' Championship earlier this spring. So, no, I can't argue against it, man.
No, I love it. We already talked about Siwoo because Pete Dye. He's kind of infamous for that. He's been having the career year, so I'm all over him anytime he's in the field.
Yeah, and he is, as we said, he is the Pete Dye specialist. The thing about him recently, and he played okay at Augusta last week, finished 47th, but a lot of times it's his approach play that's really been helping him. But 2 out of the last 3 weeks, he's lost strokes relative to the field, and before that he was putting pretty horribly. So you need some things to really kind of come together for him. Midweek last week I was kind of thinking, you know what, it's probably a Siwoo week next week, but I'm rethinking that now. I know we've had a lot of success playing Jake Knapp this year, and he's sitting there at 9,100. That's pretty pricey, but as well as he's played, you got to figure he's going to break through and win. And I think when you look at the type of player that this course really fits, it takes one of his biggest weapons in that driver out of his hands, but I could still see him having a very good week at this course. His approach play has been great. Into these small greens, he can be good, and he's putting the lights out.
Sure.
You
Yeah,
were
and I'm
mentioning
looking at the
Colin.
simulations over here, and he's a top 10, chance at top 3 according to the sim that I ran earlier. So, I'm all in on Jake Knapp as well. And then interestingly, at 93, Colin Morikawa is the only guy in like the top 15 salaries with a ownership projected under 10% right now. Can we talk about why?
Interesting. I think they're still concerned about his back. Even through the week last week, he had withdrawn from the Players Championship, didn't play again until the Masters, and was saying leading up to the event, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to play. He hadn't really made any full swings on the course yet. So the whole week he had kind of concerns about, you have that trauma where you think at any point my back could give out. Is this going to happen again? It's hard to swing with confidence, but kudos to him, man. He played well on Sunday and kind of had a backdoor top 10. I'm not as much on him. The guy with great course history that you look at here right in that price range is at 9,200. Patrick Cantlay has a phenomenal course history here. Had a great Friday, Saturday. He's had 3 top 3 finishes in the last 4 years at this event. Seems to be finding form just in time to get back in the mix here. I like him enough to say he could be my one and done pick this week because there are not a lot of courses I want to play Patrick Cantlay.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm going to put him in the spot here because I like course history. So I'm going to put him in a spot. We're going to see. We're going to play around with that. All right. What else have we got here? We can look down here. You said Jordan Spieth, a former winner here. The last time he won a contest was here. Can he put some pep in his step this week at 88?
Yeah, he certainly could. I'm keeping it on his ownership. Like the thing that you like about him, his approach play has been good. He's got course history here. It's taken the driver out of his hands. The driver, it can be a little erratic. It hasn't been as big of a weakness this season as it has been in the past. He's been gaining strokes consistently in 4 out of the last 5 events. The one that he didn't was the Players, another Pete Dye course. So there could be something to that, but it is going to take the driver out of his hands. It's not as long of a course as the Players is. If you're making this more of a 150 to 200 yard approach play and into the greens type of week, if his putting flips, because it wasn't great last week at a course that he loves and the greens that he likes, then you could certainly see Jordan Spieth contending this week for the first time. I mean, he hasn't had a top 10 in almost a year.
No, sir, but I was just looking here up on the screen, and 4 of his last 6, he's had T12 or better.
Yeah, I think he's had two 11ths and 2 12ths in that time. Mm-hmm. So the game is definitely trending, and it's a lot of it's the approach play and short game, which, as we talked about, are huge this week. So yeah, you can make a very strong argument for him.
And I think that he probably goes under-owned, considering who's in the field and how long it's been since he's won.
Probably, and his price. You would think, given that he hasn't had a top 10 in so long, he's been trending better. But I think the course history and the name kind of push him up to that price range of 88. Could make him a pretty decent leverage play. I think a lot of people are going to be on Mav McNeely in this range. JT is your defending champion here. Shane Lowry had a good week last week until Sunday where he shot 80. That was kind of gross.
Rough.
And then you got Goddard up. You got Bridgman, a couple of our hot names this year. So I could definitely see Jordan going a little bit under-owned this week. You got Siwoo right above him too. The 8K, I think the 8K is really where you're going to separate yourself. For me personally, I don't see why you wouldn't like Bridgman. He doesn't have much history here. I think he finished 60th or so last year. 61st. But the dude just played Augusta for the first time and, made the cut pretty easily. Had an uncharacteristically bad putting week. But those are greens that are pretty tough to learn and figure out quickly. But the rest of his game was good. So I'm bouncing right back to Bridgman, even though he's up here in the 8K range in a very, very good field.
I don't mind him at all. Hey, we skipped over a guy you talked about in the pre-show this morning when we were getting ready, and Russell Henley at 96. You said he was a man of interest. That was, of course, 9 a.m. this morning, and it's a few hours later. Have you made a change, or are you trying to hide him from me, sir?
Trying to keep our fellow participants in our contest off the scent. But no, Russell, he's as solid of a play as you can get this week. All the game trends are there. Course history is good. He's got a few top 10s in the last 5 years. You can't make an argument against him because driving distance not being there isn't going to factor in. And even last week, where driving distance was a big factor, granted, when it's firmer out like it was, the shorter hitters come into play more, but he still finished T3. He gained almost 3 strokes per round on just an unbelievable approach week. So you got to love Russ. He's a dog. He loves playing in the South. I'd be surprised if he wasn't hanging out in the top 10 before the final round starts.
Yeah, I mean, he shot 66 Saturday, 68. He was really in contention, and maybe he carries that hot finish into this week. I like it. All right, let's get back down cheaper again. We talked about some of these guys. We talked about Goddard, Day. My model really likes two guys right here at the top of the 7Ks in Harry English and Minwoo Lee. What do you think about that?
I'm not one to hold grudges typically, but as bad as Minwoo was last week, I mean, it's got to shake his confidence some. That was brutal. He missed the cut by a lot. He was in my lineup, as you can probably figure out. But
for sure,
I'm not a huge fan of Minwoo this week. The guy that I like to have a big bounce back doesn't have a lot of great course history here. It's just been mediocre. But JJ Spawn found his form a couple of weeks ago, won the week leading into the Masters. Not a great course for him at Augusta. But this should be. He's a very straight driver of the golf ball, hits a lot of greens, short games above average. I love JJ at 75. I think I'm going to let people gravitate towards Minwoo, towards Akshay. I think we saw some good signs from Ben Griffin last week.
Okay.
I think what we saw from Ben, good off the tee. Approach game wasn't there, but it was the week before. I think we're starting to see Griffin return to form a little bit. 2 straight finishes around 30th. If other guys are gravitating towards Minwoo, Akshay up here, I'm going to go Griffin. But what are you seeing on our darling of the year, Ryo Hisetsune?
Pretty good. Pretty good. We like him. We like him a lot. I don't know anything about his driving. So is this going to help him taking driver out of his hands? Because that's what I kind of like when we have these courses, Adam, is kind of just looking at these big bombers that we're obsessed with pretty much most of the year. And then being able to focus in on the straight hitters with their 3 woods and really solid around the green play. Is he our guy here?
Ryo could be good. I mean, he's above average on driving accuracy. He's almost right at tour average on distance. His biggest strength is approach play, and right after that would be your driving accuracy and around the green. So it seems to set up well for him. Finished top 10 in his last event just before the Masters. Didn't play the Masters, although I'd be surprised if he wasn't playing by next year. So, yeah, I like Ryo. There's no reason to really talk yourself out of him outside of maybe a lack of course history.
Can you look at the players and make some assumptions because it's the same designer, or is it not really comparable?
Similar. I mean, he did play here last year. It's just that one event, but he finished top 20. And he's playing a high level of golf this year. So, yeah, as we're talking through it, I'm talking myself into Ryo as well. So if the field's going like Minwoo, Akshay, and some of the guys up here, I love Ryo and JJ as kind of those zigs when everyone else is zagging, or vice versa.
Well, I already have 2 guys in the lineup that start with a J, so I can't make it 3. So I'm going to put Ryo in there instead of JJ Spawn. But we can come back to it. We've got 8,000 left for 2 more players to mess around.
My favorite guy in the 7K range is coming up here at the bottom.
Oh, hit me. Let's go. Let's talk about a few of these players. I mean, you got Højgaard, who we've been on quite a bit this year. Does his game fit this field?
No. He's more erratic off the tee guy. Normally gets it done on courses he can bomb it, like he did in that event where he finished second to Gary Woodland in Texas. You can just kind of bomb it out there and not worry too much about where it goes. That is not the case. The RBC.
Well, I like 2 guys down at the low end in Stevens and how do you say this? Yelamarahu? Pretty close. Yeah, pretty close. I like both these guys. I mean, I like Sudarshan quite a bit. I think he's a fun name to say, and Canada and all that. But I know who you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about a guy that I've never played this year, and I'm still not going to play him this year. I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Look, I've been waiting for my moment to pounce and go with Alex Noren. Above average driving accuracy, below average driving distance. Isn't going to matter. The guys that usually beat him because they're bombing it past him, they'll be clubbing down the 3 woods and hitting approach shots from where he's hitting his driver to. Approach play is well above average, and around the green play and putting, he's phenomenal. This is the week that I think Alex Noren finds himself in the top 10, maybe even in contention. He's making a lot of birdies, had a great approach week last week at Augusta. The putter is good. The around the green game has been fantastic. I think it's the week, man. I like him as much as anybody else down here. Yellow Miraju it's hard to argue against him. He just had his best career finish at the Players, which is another Pete Dye course.
Mm-hmm.
I just think at some point, the guy's got to cool off some. I mean, he's had 3 straight top 14 finishes. And before that, his best was 17th, 13th. Yeah, I mean, he's been playing solid golf, but he does drive it a long way, and he's not as accurate as some of the guys we're talking about. I guess the biggest concern for me would be the around the green game. He's below average short game from a strokes game perspective. So I'm just betting on, the human variable of you can't just sustain great play forever, coming back to bite him. But I like Stevens. I like Stevens a lot.
Can you believe it? I've got up the ownership in that range, and you got Sudarshan and Alex Noren about 1 apart. People like Alex a little bit more in this beginning of this sim, which, of course, listen, it's Tuesday. This will change wildly before Thursday morning.
Probably.
But Kurt Kitayama at 8%. I don't know. He looked pretty bad.
Not a big Kitayama course. His short game isn't good, but we got to mention Brian Harmon had a terrible Thursday at Augusta.
Mm-hmm.
Came back with one of the rounds of the day. I think he was 5 or 6 under on Friday to make the cut.
Mm-hmm.
On a course that's really not suited for his game. He's a short hitter. Gets it done more with approach play with his mid irons, and coming into this course, I mean, accurate guy, great approach play, great around the greens. If his putter's good, I mean, Harmon I would expect to be in the mix too. He
So, Adam, in this range, we have some standouts in ownership. 10% to Daniel Berger, 9% to JT Poston, 9.3% to Corey Connors. Is this just name recognition at this point that people are clicking those names early?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Corey Connors is typically a great tee to green player. Really, the only thing he did well last week at the Masters was his approach play and around the greens. Lost a bunch off the tee. Putting hasn't been very good. He's got good course history here. I'm sure people are looking into that. Berger was shaky last week, man. I think I'm going to let people jump to him and let them take that risk on. Poston, though. Poston's a guy on these small greens. He had a good week at Valero before the Masters. Didn't play the Masters, but Poston, I think, of the guys you mentioned, is the other one that I'd be interested in.
Interesting. He's missed a lot of cuts recently.
He has. He's the guy that when he finds a course that suits him well, he tends to take advantage of it. Another good comp course for this is the RSM back in the fall swing, and he finished T7 there. Going back to last year, don't see T11 here last year, so course history is there for him as well.
Nice.
Not a Marco Penge week, though, that's for sure.
Not a Penge week. All right, fair enough. All right, let's get into the 6,000s here. You got McCarty there. You got Enchavaria, a couple of guys that we've been on a few times this year. Let's see, the Sim darling, Ricky Castillo, always popping in the Sims, but has scored well this year, so that's probably why.
Yeah, Castillo's had some really steady play. He doesn't have any course history here. But he is a very solid player. Tee to green. He's kind of a well-rounded player. Doesn't really have one glaring weakness. So I don't
he did get his butt kicked
this
at the Players, sir, but it was after he won in Puerto Rico. So maybe he was a little hungover.
Entirely possible. He's a young guy. I mean, I wouldn't blame him at all. But no, I think you can make an argument for him down here in the 6K range. You're getting 4 rounds out of him. As we mentioned, it's no cut this week. So I do want some guys that maybe have a little more volatility. You look at steady guys where you're like, oh yeah, he'll probably finish somewhere, middle of the pack or, just below the middle of the pack. I'm not really looking at guys like that. A guy that's been trending a little bit who we haven't really talked much about this season, but Billy Ho is kind of catching my eye a little bit here.
All right. Well, this is what I want, Adam. When I'm down here thinking about super cheap guys on no-cut events, I don't really care if they finish 40th, Adam, as long as they can hit 4 or 5 birdies around. It doesn't matter to me if they get double bogeys after that. It's all about scoring when you have a no-cut event. So who are the guys they're gonna be erratic, but they're gonna hit some birds? That's what I like.
I like going back to Andrew Putnam. We've been on him a little bit the last couple months. He was very steady in the 30th to 45th range, and then found a course that suited him a bit better at Valero, which again doesn't favor distance.
Oh no, I lost Adam. You can give us 1 minute. We'll see if we can get him back. Let me go through over to the range of outcomes over here again at paydirtdata.com. One of my absolute favorite sites. I do not get paid to say that. So if you want to look around over on them, this is kind of a little sneak peek. They got a couple of cool little things, GPP percentage that I always use kind of as an optimal range, looking at Cameron Young, looking at Matt Fitz, looking at Siwoo. You got to take a look at the ownership, which obviously it's always to Scotty or not to Scotty. Matt Fitz, Xander below that. The big hot names that have been out and about, getting a lot of love here. I'm not into Bhatia. He's been too wild. I do like Chris Goddard. We're seeing some high ownership in some of these other guys that we liked. But going down, getting a little lower, getting below 10%. There's a couple of good names we like down here. Let's see kind of in the lower range here. Bring Adam back in here. We were just talking about kind of some guys in the lower ownership range here, Adam, while I was waiting for you over at paydirtdata.com. And looking at these guys kind of under 4%. What do you think of, you like Brian Harmon at 3.5, Sudarshan down there at 4.5, Sammy Valimaki, like way down, 2.7. He spikes every now and then, but misses a lot of cuts. What do you think of him this week?
Yeah, he had a good finish here last year. Valimaki, I believe, finished 18th last year. Yeah, he was 18th. You're getting him for cheap. He stunk it up at the Masters. I mean, that course just does not suit him. So I'm not surprised he did. But, yeah, you can make an argument for him. You got Tom Hoagie there at 6,200, 18th last year and the year before. If you want just that veteran who's probably going to finish at least top half, middle of the pack. You've also got Tony Finau, who finished 12th a couple years ago and 38th here last year. I mean, he's been showing some form, man. Tony Finau is a guy that's been erratic with the driver, but again, here you can club down. You don't have to worry about that too much. He's made 6 straight cuts. You can make an argument for Finau.
I like it. All right, so if I put Castillo in here just for fun, because this is my lineup so far. I don't know if you can see my screen, but I've got Cantlay, Spieth, Bridgman, Rio, Castillo, and I still get 9,400 after that. So I can pop up there, and I get to choose from guys like Abear, Morikawa, probably my boy Knapp, or maybe Siwoo at 89. Where are you going if you had 94 left for your final spot?
If I got 94 and you already took Cantlay off the table, I'm probably with you. I think I'm going Knapp there. I like
Knapp. But mind you, we're ignoring my Sims, who tell me the most optimal play is Cam Young.
Cam Young at 98. Yeah, if you start it with Cam Young, I mean, Cam, his biggest weapon is his driver. I mean, he's one of the few guys that can go toe to toe with Rory in that regard. But he's finished top 10 four tournaments in a row, including 2 T3s and a first at the Players. So kind of tough to argue against that kind of play, especially considering his win was at the Players Championship. The only concern you have really is the letdown factor. Just played the final group last week, had a chance to win his first major and fell short. So if you believe in the letdown, then it's going to hit Cam Young for sure more than anybody else up here.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, we can mess around with a lot of great lineups there, but let's get out of here, buddy. Let's talk the last couple things, as we always do. Who you like your long shot to win? You're 75-1 or better.
We're going Victor.
Come on.
You know, I don't think I'm going to go Alex Noren. Although I'm tempted. Who did I see? I was just looking at this earlier. Pardon me while I talk my way through this and find the RBC Heritage odds. But one guy stood out. You're talking 75-1 or greater.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's see. Oh, we didn't even talk about Thorbjornsen. He's in the field. Oh, we got Rio Hisatsune at 90-1.
Ooh, Rio at 90, buddy. All right, we like that.
And
how about you have been on fire with a couple of very close calls. And in fact, I think you've even picked one or two this year. First round leaders there.
Guys who can just get hot. I would throw Noren in there for sure. I've been following him closely. Like last week is such a dream because the Masters app, you can watch every single shot from these players. So you get a little more specific feel for what they're really doing. But I would want guys who have been hot on approach play, who can get hot with their putter. Why not Jacob Bridgman, man?
I like Bridgman. He always, I mean, these kind of guys, I mean, who was it the last year or the year before that was like our first round darling who just couldn't hold it together for the weekends, but was crushing it.
I could also see Max Homa had a great first round, great final round, I should say, last week. He could have a great first round this week, kind of ride that mo, and then I could see him running out of gas a little bit. But I do like him for a potential first round leader. I want to try and see if I can pull these odds up for first round leaders. Round one. Yeah. So we've got Jacob Bridgman's 45 to 1 first round leader.
That ain't bad.
JJ Spawn 47, Alex Noren 52, and where'd our boy go? Rio Hisatsune 62 to 1. I could see him getting hot. I think Brian Harmon at 65 is probably my favorite.
Ooh, I like all those. I like them all. All right, buddy, let's do what we do. Let me pull up my upcoming list. Let's take a look. Give me your favorite guy, 9K or above. Let's hit it.
Let's go Xander.
You like Xander. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to go with my model. I'm going to go Cam Young. My model's been good to me this year. It's all right. I like it. All right. How about mid range? Let's talk 8Ks to 75 or so.
To 75, you say? I will go with. Let's go with Bridgman. I think.
I had my thumb on him already. You
That's all right. All right. I can switch it up if you want Bridgman.
No. I will go with Ryu. Yes. I like both those guys. All right. Let's get low.
Another guy I was looking at.
All right, buddy. My models tell me Ricky Castillo, but it has told me that every week. But this is the week. It's this week. So I'm going Ricky at 67.
I like Ricky. I like where your head's at there. For me, if we're going value play, I just got to go with my guy. Alex Noren. He's 7,100. I think he is prime to contend this week. I love the Swede. If we're going low, you want to go low?
I dig it. If you got anybody lower, I'm not going any lower. There's too much good stuff in the 7s and 8s. I don't need to get that low.
You got Castillo at 67, but we're talking low. I mean, I mentioned him earlier. I'm not going to mention him now. I think the guy who's probably your safest bet is Tom Hoagie. Like we said, a couple top 20s here the last 2 years. A little more volatility, but a little more upside. I'd probably go with a guy like Andrew Putnam at 6,400.
Yeah, I don't mind that. And Johnny Vegas always in play for Johnny Danger.
Why not?
Not in this course.
This is not a Johnny Vegas course. That being said, maybe take his driver out of his hands. He can get high with the approach.
Maybe. You never know. All right, my friends. We are in the cup, drroto.com. Make sure you get over to drroto.com. We're in the full swing of baseball now with Lou Landers and the baseball crew. Promo code WIN at drroto.com for 10% off. Generally speaking, I am always talking about my DFS hero over 20% off with promo code DOC. They were not ready for golf today, so that's okay. We used pay dirt data. I don't have, you can shoot me an email, danger@drroto.com, and I have an affiliate link for you, but I can't spell that all out here. It won't work for me, so I'm not gonna. Anyways, you got to get over there. We're still doing MMA. We're still doing basketball. We're still doing hockey. It's playoff season. We got it all over drroto.com. I really appreciate you all checking us out. And until we meet again, my friends, I am Johnny Danger. And with me, as always, Mr. Adam White. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.